Hello and welcome to Easy Like a Sunday Morn. I'm your host, Shane Lockwood, and this is episode 30 on October the 19th, 2014. And I will say thank you to everybody who tunes in each and every week, and for those who are listening for the very first time. For the last few weeks, I've been presenting a multi-part interview series with Raggy Ragsdale, and today's show is the conclusion to that interview. It's the fourth and final part of the show, so stay tuned for that. Before I get to that though, I've got some fantastic news. This show is now broadcasting on the iHeartRadio network, which means that if you've got the iHeartRadio app for your mobile phone, and you should be able to find it fairly easily, you can not so easily find this podcast. It's the interface of the iHeartRadio app is not the best. It's not the easiest to find things, but I did find this podcast and I've added it to my own favorites so that I can make sure that this show's going out properly and correct, and it's not hurting anybody's ears and all that sort of stuff. So once again, I'd like to apologize for the audio quality with the Raggy Ragsdale section, because I was recording off Skype, but what I didn't do was record my voice a lot louder than what it should have been. But we live and we learn from our mistakes. So thank you guys for helping me to get the show on iHeartRadio. Thank you to iHeartRadio and to the people who are already listening to the show through iHeartRadio, because I can see the statistics. There are people listening to the show each and every day, and I'm just so grateful that this is starting to take off. And without further ado, otherwise this will be a rather long show, here is the continuation of the interview with Raggy Ragsdale.
So everything you do is fun and funny. And the thing is, the world is expecting you to be serious.
Yeah. Because
you look serious. And that's your problem, you see. Forget about the gays and the lesbians. Man, you're a funny guy, and you're trapped inside a serious space. And that's an interesting place to be. And me, I'm a funny guy, and they wanted me to have a serious face, but I didn't suffer from this.
Going back to my friend, who I try to make laugh every time we work together, right? Every time I see her, right, I'll turn anything she says into a joke. So she'll say something like, "Oh, walk this way." So I start wobbling my head and walking funny. That sort of, just silly stuff like that. But like,
oh yeah, the Princess Bride, walk this way.
Yeah.
you got your woman, man.
Yeah. So,
walk this way. Yes. Now you were bullied in high school, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. I understand. What we did, those of us who got bullied a lot, I learned to play the trombone and the guitar. I got invited to all the dances. They were right. Learn to play the guitar. Go to the dances. They didn't tell me you'd be on stage and everybody else would be dancing. And the other thing was, I learned this. If you can make them laugh and they know you're going to make them laugh, I was safe.
Yeah.
And I was protected.
Yeah.
And you learn that too. And the thing is, it's a different kind of bully.
Yeah.
And they don't want to laugh, and they sure don't want to be laughed at. So, you got to learn how to be funny and fun and all that stuff, and slip it past. Because I never told jokes like regular preachers. Preachers bore me to tears. But I would drop jokes in, and only the college kids who came would laugh their heads off, and everybody else would just sit there. And I thought, this is so much fun, because they think I'm being serious, and I had just slipped one into there. You wouldn't believe it. The congregation in my wife's hometown, once we got married, they turned on her because she was no longer the darling of the town, but she was the preacher's wife. She lost her identity. And the first thing that went around when we got married, I promise you this, the church people said they had to. She's pregnant.
Oh,
and so
that's nasty.
1 year 1 year to the day that we got married was a Sunday. We got married on a Saturday, but the yearly anniversary was a Sunday. And the first thing I said during announcements was this: Denise and I have been married a year, and we don't have a baby yet. And I want you to know I'm in the pool. And I expect to get the money because there were people betting on it. I said, I'm in the pool. Man, I bet against it. So 9 years later before we had our first kid. I thought, and they were mortified. And I said, why? That's funny. I mean, thank you for thinking that I have what it takes to accomplish that. Man, I'm a preacher. She's a member of the church and a piano player. Do you think she's going to come over to the parsonage and get laid before anything happened? I said, my luck ain't that good. It never has been. But thank you guys for having faith in me. I want my money. So, oh yeah, I would do things like that, man. I laugh with them, laugh at them. And then when they get caught, they get so mad. Because you're not supposed to think that that's funny. They're trying to change you. They're trying to make you into the man they want you to be. Yeah. And you say to them, I already found him. I like him. I really like that guy. Yeah. And the one you want, no. Even the preachers tried, Shane, and they couldn't. Yeah. Oh, they hated it. Yeah. I'd go to conference wearing sneakers, torn T-shirts, carry guitars, and sit in the lobby. I mean, I would have a party at conference, and they were furious because I didn't look like a preacher, didn't act like a preacher. Yeah. And I told them, well, thank God for that. Lord, ain't nothing more boring than a preacher. I hate to be with them. I hate to sit with them. I hate to talk with them. I hate to listen to them because they're living the label. Yeah. And you're not living that label at that job. Yeah. You're living you. And they couldn't stand that.
They couldn't understand it either. For example, going back to what I was saying before. Actually, before I go back, what I would do was I'd wear a T-shirt, because they'd give you a work T-shirt that needed to be returned at the end of the shift, right? And it needed to be tucked in and needed to be nice and neat and whatever. You return the T-shirt at the end of the shift so they can be washed, right? And I've done my fair share of laundry there and stuff like that. It's not a drama. But they couldn't figure out why I'd wear a shirt underneath the work shirt. Now, in Australia, it gets hot, really hot. Yeah. It's like, well, why are you wearing two shirts? Aren't you hot? Aren't you? They thought I was crazy. But
I told them I got 3 nipples.
No, but the thing is, what had happened was, I decided that I didn't want to take my shirt off in front of the ladies that were there at the time when I first started there.
Yeah, chivalry.
Yeah, and I thought, okay.
Embarrassment too. Yes, embarrassment. That's a throwback from high school as well. I've lived it. I know what you're talking about. I'm that way still today. Yes, I know. Yeah,
mainly embarrassment because I'm not. I don't have the 6-pack abs and all that sort of stuff. I'm got a bit of a stomach, so it's like I'm thinking, okay. Now the funny thing was, you'd watch the women. They would want to go get changed, right? So they'd run off. They'd grab the shirt, run off to the bathroom, and then get changed and come back, right?
Right.
So you think, okay, now, but all I had to do was put the shirt on. I'm wearing a shirt, and then I just put the work shirt on, and then at the end of my shift, I take the work shirt off. I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to run off to the bathroom. I don't have to, can you look after my stuff while I run off? And no. I just take the shirt off, throw it in the washing basket. But the thing is, there was a psychological thing too, where I realised that this position was not permanent. I didn't want it to be permanent, and it was sort of symbolic of the T-shirt, like the logo of the T-shirt, touching my skin and seeping into my skin, and I didn't want that, because I knew the job was hard. I was being treated like dirt by the management, and there were some days where it was just the promise of my friend coming in with a can of Coke, right? That's only a few dollars. It's not expensive, right? A can of Coke. But you get one of those bad days where the boss is screaming and yelling at everybody because nobody's doing their job properly, and he's getting screamed at from people above him and all this sort of stuff. And I had to latch onto that idea of that can of Coke. That can of Coke meant everything to me. And then there were some days where she promised, and then she couldn't come in, and I had to endure it just on the fake promise of a can of Coke from this person. Yeah. And it wasn't the can of Coke itself. It's what it represented. It was, I can have a laugh. It doesn't matter how bad things get. I can have a laugh at the end of the shift. But anyway, she still works there. So when I went to university, within a few months of me going, within a couple of months of me going to university, and because you have to understand, the woman that backstabbed me was like, "Oh, but Shane, I need you to be here and to be doing this. I hope you don't get fired," and all this sort of. I'm like, why would my job be on the line? I'm doing what I'm told. There was something happening behind the scenes, right? And by rights, I could have sued them for lost wages, for whatever, right? It's just not. Right. It's not. I don't have the money to be able to do that. But by rights, I could have sued them and say, look, I'm doing my job. I'm doing my job properly. These people, we do have like work relations and unions and stuff like that. But I just couldn't be bothered with the messing around with the nitty gritty over stuff like that. I was just too angry. I didn't want to see certain people again. So my friend lets me know that the initial woman that was kicking up the stink in the first place, her and her boyfriend left. Her boyfriend had been working there longer than I had, right? But she'd only been there for like 2 years, right? Yeah. And he'd be there every day. He'd be working there every day, rah. But they wanted to sack her, but the only reason they didn't was because he was still working there. So I don't know what happened for him to leave. I think what happened was because I left, all of a sudden, people are going to have to physically do something. Oh dear. Yeah. And so I left, and that created a vacuum. Right. I didn't want to leave. If they offered me shifts, I'd be back there, but they weren't offering me shifts. So I went to flying school, focused on the degree, graduated. My friend said, "Okay, look, they left," and then the boss had left. They'd lost the contract to the parent company because the company that I was working for is a sub-company of the parent company. The parent company now has the contract. And then my friend was saying, look, bring up the parent company and then see if you can get back in. And because she was still working there, so therefore it was easy for her to transition back in. But because I was at university and no longer part of, technically I'm still on their payroll, but I'm not, if that makes sense. But officially,
the hour if you don't work. Yeah. Still on you. Yeah, I know the feeling.
Yeah.
So it sounds like the same thing Gertie was talking about, only some point, if it hadn't already happened, there's several folks shaved it. Wake up in the middle of the night, and you're the first face they see before they open their eyes. They know why it happened.
Yeah.
And they don't know why they couldn't stop it because it happened.
Yeah.
And the thing is, that plug that held all the water in the basin, that thing at the very bottom of the bowl that kept it all together, is the thing that they laughed at because it had a funny shape, but it was round and it plugged the leak. And it got the job done, and it kept the levels of proficiency up in every area and every department. And when they pulled the plug, it was just a matter of time before the whirlpool started, and then as it began to spin, she kept saying to other people, you need to do this. And they would think, no, Shane used to do that.
Yeah.
The new guy's here. He's no Shane because he can't get it done because, one, it was actually fun.
Yeah.
We laughed when Shane was doing it. This guy's not fun. And you can see yourself, man. They pulled the plug, and you were the plug.
Yeah.
Oh, you better know. They waking up a lot of it at night. And there's a boss somewhere that thinks, it all started when Shane stop working. And the very people that made that happen are running like rats off a sinking ship and trying to, swim back to the mother boat. So, yeah, it's nice to own folks, and you own them. You just haven't appreciated the ownership yet. And that's your nature. You're a nice guy. See, I remember that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I go to sleep knowing how much that there are people who hate me. It's wonderful. And when I see one and they just avoid me, if I'm downtown or at the mall or Walmart, wherever they go, I make a point to show up shortly, no matter, because they have to leave.
Right.
Which means they don't own me, but I own them.
Yeah.
And it's just amusing to see how far I can push them around. Yeah. It just amuses me to think that these folks controlled my life because I allowed it. I ain't going to let them do it anymore. And if I can't succeed, rats, I'll just stop. Because if it ain't fun, don't do it.
Yeah.
Shoot, yeah. See, it's a case like this when I wish I could hacksaw off a piece of my brain, plug it into the side of your head, and say, look, when these situations happen, work with this little piece of gray matter. And you even going to start laughing because you thought, God, I'd have never thought of that. I can't believe that is funny as crap. And they're dying. They are so mad. Light another bag, put it on the porch. Halloween's coming. And then sit back and watch them kick it. Nothing like a good fireball of that stuff that they were eating out of the toilet. Yeah. Oh, man, I've just got a perverse sense of humor. Yeah. And that's it. Nobody else gets it. That's okay. Yeah. I laugh. I'll sit here and laugh by myself some nights till I'm in tears. God, I'm fun to be with. I enjoy myself so much. It's scary. And that's what you need. You haven't yet learned to wean yourself away from that appreciation from strangers and workers. That's the problem. And it's not a problem. That's just an issue. Yeah. And, you got to focus that humor where it hits them and immediately bounces back to you. If they get it, great. And if they don't, that's even funnier. Yeah. Because if it's work-related, they don't get it. That ought to tell the boss something. Yeah. Because he would hear it and think, that's funny. Yeah. Why aren't you people laughing? Because they didn't understand it. It was work you do and understood. So shoot, you'd have been fun to work with.
Yeah. Oh, now, there's a lot of stuff that can be boring, but I will bounce back what people give me, but there are some people that, oh, he's boring, but that's because they're boring. They think
correct.
They think that because they've got tattoos, or that they like to drink, and that somehow makes them interesting. And it's like, no, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
Stop, it doesn't.
No, it really doesn't.
You know?
Oh, when I drink, it makes me. No, it doesn't. That's who you really are. When you drink, it allows you to do it.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. So you show me a mean drunk, and I'll show you a mean person. It's like I said about Gurney. Hey, when I was drinking, I fell in love with the world. I mean, that's the gospel truth. I just loved everybody. And never got angry, hostile, violent, or anything. Because that's not who I am. When I drunk it, I really came out. I just loved everybody. It was embarrassing. But it was true. It releases who the person is. It doesn't make them alter their behavior. They say, well, I'm different when I drink. No, you're not. You're liberated. Yeah. And the Liberator X ought to understand it as much as anybody I know.
Well, that was the name. That was the reasoning behind that naming of the channel there, because it was about liberating people from ignorance, but at the same time liberating myself from ignorance, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, because you go online, I had lots of ideas that I thought were accurate and true and so on, and then you dig deeper and then you realize that no, a lot of the ideas that I have about myself, about how the world works, are not true. They're not true at all. And so that the ignorance was mine. No,
that's what the X means.
You know, it's sort of
the X is exactly there. I think you put that in there because X means the unknown quantity. Yeah. And when you turned it around and put the X first, that was also a very revealing thing. Your inner child was yelling at you. Come on. Understand the X. Once you understand X, you can figure out the problem.
Yeah.
X is the fundamental issue that goes on with all of us. We don't know. But we want to be liberated. But from what? And to what? See, that's the key. As a preacher, I would hear them stand up and testify. God, gag a maggot. That's all I could do to keep from laughing half the time.
Yeah.
Because I discovered that 90-something or more percent of the people who go to church are trying to save themselves from hell. And you never heard anybody stand up and say that they weren't, that they wanted to go somewhere. Not avoid something, but to actually go toward a goal. And you talk about it, pride being one of the 7 deadly sins. Every testimony would start off with most of the guys saying, I was going to bust hell wide open. And I thought, my God, man, are you that important? I never heard one stand up and say, I was just going to quietly slip in the side door and take a seat. No, they were always the biggest, the best, the meanest, the baddest ass sinner that ever walked the face of the earth. And I kept saying, oh, listen to yourselves. And I'm not kidding you. It was tough. I would just have to put my head down sometime, I swear to you, and just giggle and think, oh, Lord, I've never heard anything like this. And you never heard a testimony in church where a guy stood up and said, you know what? I'm married, got 3 beautiful children, wonderful, lovely wife, great family, phenomenal job. Everything is going so great. My God, I need Jesus. Never heard it. It was always, oh, I'm busted, I'm flat, it's over, it was ruined, I've been drinking, my wife's left me, they take the kids. They're coming from this point of weakness that I always wanted to say to them, come on. If what you think you're saying is true, what you believe about what you say you believe, you ought to be raging into the world from the point of strength. And yet what you're saying through all your confessions about how wonderful it is to now get saved and be a member of God, you're saying that you are just trying to escape from reality. Instead of turning around and saying, hot dang, I got the bear on my side, and just start wading down the football field kicking tail and carrying the ball toward the goal. Man, like I said, I did get in a lot of trouble when I was preaching, because I couldn't put up with that. That was insane. I thought people were crazy. And most of them are.
Yeah.
But I could accept it. They're trying to save their butts by coming to church. Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Oh, God. I'm going to start laughing. We'll be able to stop again. I loved every dang minute of it.
People are funny. Like, the people that know me, they say, oh, look, why don't you put your name down for X, Y, Z and stuff like that. But like I was saying before, they think that I have the same probability of getting the job that they have because they found it easy. And no, it's not that way at all. Like, I try to get my old job back. I will admit that. I tried to get my old job back. But I went through the proper channels. What I need to do is ring my friend, and of course she's one of these people that doesn't use Facebook very often. I'm going to have to ring her and say, look, who do I talk to? Because I went through the proper channels, and they promised me X, Y, Z, but I haven't heard anything back from them. I can't do that. I need to ring people directly and say, look. Now, a lot of people get upset because it means cutting corners, cutting through red tape, etc., etc. But I'd rather do that, talk to people directly, get a yes or no. Now they might not have a position available, but I know what's happened is the people, they've made it harder. They expect more work with less time to do it. So you can't really sort of joke around, and that's why it's adding additional stress. But sometimes the stress creates a lot more humour, and I think because there was one time that I had to work with this woman. She was a control freak, and
I love them.
Micromanagement to the point of ridiculousness. They'd pull up in a van and we'd have to clean these toilets. But I've already done the maths in my head. I'm thinking, okay, you've got 16 toilets, 4 blocks of 4, you've got 8 people. What's that? Two toilets for each. You're going to have it done real quick. So I went off and filled it like a bucket of water. Oh, no, what are you doing that for? Nobody's mopping the floor yet. I was like, yeah, but you're going to have to do it eventually. What's the difference between now and 5 minutes later? What's the difference between, or I'd have, oh, Shane, why don't you have a spray bottle in your hand? It's like, you've just pulled up, you know, like everybody's grabbed on one. I'm looking for one that's left in the bucket still. They're like, Shane, why, you know, and of course, the thing was, oh, you're not a team player, which is, of course, nonsense, right? You know,
not a team player. Is that what they're saying?
Oh, yeah.
When they say to you something like, you know, it's easy, you look them square in the eye and you say, no, it's not easy. If it was easy, anybody could do it. But it is simple, and I can handle that. I'm a simple kind of guy. Man, control freaks. Gosh, I wish you'd have talked to me. I eat them for breakfast. I love them. I just really, truly do.
Now,
a control freak's the easiest person to own in the world.
Yeah, but they, it's like, oh, why don't you have a bottle in your hand? I'm thinking, right. And I'm starting to get paranoid. I'm thinking, oh, she's going to scream at me. She's going to scream at me. So I grabbed 2 bottles of chemical, right? Long before we've been pulled up, right? Shane, why do you have 2 chemical bottles in your hand? I'm thinking, oh, Jesus, what? I couldn't put a foot wrong, right? I couldn't put a foot right, I should say. And my friend says, oh, gee, she was a bit rude. I'm thinking, are you kidding me? I'm copping this the full brunt of this. You know, and it became a joke. So it was a case of, you know, because the pitch of her voice sounded like a chainsaw. Sheen!
Yeah, I love them.
Oh, man.
I got 2 bottles in my hand because when I bring them together and they break, they're going to open a portal. I got 75 gnomes out there waiting to come and do this. We're going to be through in 3 minutes.
But you know what I mean? Like, if I couldn't do a thing right. I could not do a thing right. So that became a running joke. Anytime I got in trouble, it was like, shit. So I had everybody in hysterics during the lunch break, right? And nobody could figure it out because, like, oh, all these other groups are all sort of moping around and, like, you come in here with, you've got smiles on your faces. It's like, yeah, and we wouldn't let them know. But one of the jokes was, I walked in, I settled down, I waited till all the ladies were quiet, and said, okay, ladies. I said something like, the wording of it has to be perfect, but I forget the proper wording of it and the timing of it. But it was something like, so ladies, who doesn't know my name? Or something that was along the lines of, so it's like, yeah. It's like,
they hear it yelled.
It's like, hey. It's like, hey, the ladies always know my name. Hey, ladies. God, no, because we introduced ourselves. We were introducing ourselves, and it's like, well, hey, ladies, I'm pretty sure you know my name. And they were just like pissing themselves laughing because I was trying to act like the Fonz or like a womanizer. It's like, hey, all the ladies know my name. Don't worry about that.
Yeah. I got it. Yeah, double trips. There are double trips on that one. Yeah. Jerry Clower used to say it. Had a friend whose name they always grew up thinking his real name was Damn It Ray. That's all his mother ever called him.
Damn it, Ray.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the kind of craziness that would come up. And my friend Joe, she goes, oh, I want you to buy me a cake. Okay. It was a bit forward, right? Okay, so I'm thinking, one, where am I going to find a cake? Now, there are cake shops, right? There are cheesecake shops and stuff.
Yeah.
She goes, oh, I want a rainbow cake. What the hell is a rainbow cake? A rainbow cake is where it's a cake, right? You cut it in half, and there's different colours in it. They just put food colouring throughout the cake, right? When they made it.
Oh, I make them. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So, where the hell am I going to get a rainbow cake? So, I'm running out of time. I can't find this rainbow cake. I just go to a cheesecake shop and get a chocolate cake, right?
It's nighttime.
So I bring in this chocolate cake to work, and the woman that was screaming my name, right, she comes out. Oh, chocolate cake. Oh, can I have some? And I'm thinking, like, you just treated me like crap for the last 2 or 3 days, right? And yet when I bring the chocolate cake out, you're the first one out with the fork and the knife for a slice. Well, and I didn't. And I said, "Oh, yeah, go ahead, mate. Go ahead." You know, and because I bought multiple packets, they were just like pre-sliced, and I just thought, "Oh, yeah, go help yourself. You can have that." Because there's no way I'm going to touch anything you've touched after you spoke to me that way. But we had so much fun, and it's like a Stockholm syndrome. Like I had no respect for her because of what she was doing, but everybody in that situation, we've become really good friends as a result of like just that shared intense experience. But Jo, my friend, she goes, she's eating this cake. She goes, I don't like this. It's like, what? You just told me to buy a cake for you, and oh no, I don't like this. I'm thinking, well, fuck you, screw you, bleep you.
Edit point, mark the tape.
Edit point. And I just thought, that's not very nice of you. And she said, oh no, this is a cheesecake from the cheesecake shop. She's, no, I want a real cake. I'm like, yeah, here we go. And I'm like, where am I going to get a real cake from? A real rainbow cake from? And I still haven't been able to find one. But
okay, you're going to be editing, right? You're going to be editing.
I'm going to be editing.
I would have taken that moment to be so politically incorrect, but because of the stereotype, I would have looked at the lady who was complaining, and I'd have said, the gay and the lesbian bakery that you told me about were closed. That's all you needed to say.
Oh, no.
And if you had the gays and lesbians there, they would have forgiven you for it in a heartbeat because they would have thought that was cute, too.
The rainbow cake. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, the rainbow cake.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. They don't do that they don't do it in Australia?
Yeah, the rainbow is a symbol for the gay and lesbian.
Okay, all right, let's say, because it is. I got mine. I wear them, in support of the group and stuff. So, like I say, heck yeah, they would have thought that was just fun because somebody's actually doing it, not in an ugly way, but to say to somebody, the way you're acting, you can stereotype yourself because it appears that you hate men.
Yeah.
And we don't know why, because I'm doing my job. There's got to be some reason. When you start reasoning, it'll just tear them up, makes them so mad they can scream, which shows their prejudgment. No. Not yours.
Hang on. Just clarify something. It was my friend that wanted the rainbow cake. My friend that wanted the rainbow cake.
I thought the first lady went out and said it's chocolate cake. It's not a rainbow cake.
Oh, no. What had happened was the woman that was screaming at me was the one who wanted the first slice of the cake, right? The first slice of the chocolate.
That all over my joke. Just washes my joke out. What a waste of a good joke. Okay, all right.
Okay. I got it. But yeah, so, and I understand where you're coming from because that would have turned her on her head. For being on today's show, Raggy, is there anything that you'd like to say to our guests and listeners?
Well, I appreciate that, and appreciate you mostly for asking me back. It's been a privilege and an honor, and I just really feel thrilled anytime I do this, and I get excited about it, and I can't thank you enough, and to say I hope all of you who are listening, you didn't get bored, because paranormal is not really something that excites everybody, but who knows? I'll have to ask whoever that is floating above the ground right over there, just for the sake of argument. So thank you, Shane. I appreciate it.
Thanks very much.
Well, that was the fourth and final part of my rather extensive interview with Raggy Ragsdale. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please click like or add the podcast to whichever medium you are listening to it in. There are various podcast apps and things like that which you can listen to the podcast through. Just look for Easy Like a Sunday Morn. Like I said at the beginning of the show, I am now on iHeartRadio. So thank you guys for helping with that process. It took about 2 weeks for them to review all the episodes and stuff like that. So you can imagine it's a rather extensive process, and people are listening to the show on iHeartRadio already, which is absolutely fantastic. Now, if you'd like to be on the show interviewed, all you have to do is add me to Skype. That's TheShaneLockwood on Skype. You could possibly send me a tweet letting me know that you've listened to the show this long at SHAIDO. And what I'm going to do is what you've been listening out for the entire show. The two magic words, the code word. And the code word for today is kidney. KIDNEY, kidney, and that's the code word, just to let me know that you'll be listening to the entire show. And I want to say thank you for everybody who does use the code word, even if you're a couple of weeks behind or whatever, and you do let me know the code word. Thank you very much. That's fine. It lets me know that you still care. Anyway, thank you for tuning in for such a long time, and I hope that this week and every week and every day this week is easy like a Sunday morning. Bye for now.